So, a constant debate among anime fans outside of Japan is subs or dubs? Do you watch anime subtitled or redubbed into your native language? There are all kinds of complaints regarding the translation accuracy and voice actor quality of so-called dubs, particularly in the Anglosphere. Like many self-described serious anime fans, I prefer subtitled anime because I want to be closer to the original experience, and my microscopic Japanese comprehension is sufficient that I can identify common translation oddities and not spend all my time looking at the bottom of the screen. However, I think there's an overlooked factor to people's dislike of redubbed anime. Next time you're watching some seasonal TV anime with soft subs, turn them off and watch the show just in Japanese for a moment. Or maybe just cover the subtitles with your greasy hands. As you actually visually focus on the show as opposed to the bottom fifth of the screen, with no dialogue for your brain to process, horrifying vistas of emptiness reveal themselves to you. Most TV anime looks like garbage. Look at these dead-eyed, noseless characters sitting stock still, flapping lips to dialogue which won't even match up with the Japanese dub, because that's what it is unless you're watching Kurenai. Look at all these boring, flat-on three-quarters framings. Even when the characters do move, it's stiff and off-model. Oh sure, the action scenes in whatever series are going to look great, that's where the effort goes. But 18 out of 22 minutes of every episode are going to look like this. This isn't even a modern anime problem. This is just what the majority of TV anime have always looked like. Now, let's think of a series where the English dub is widely acclaimed. Cowboy Bebop. Yes, Steve Blum's performance as Der Spiegel is quite iconic and all that. And there's rumors that there was a real voice director credited on the dub who put a lot of more effort into it than most of the output of Austin, Texas. But you know what I see? Cowboy Beef Bowl is a handsome-looking show. Lived-in settings, intentional shot compositions, and lots of character animation. I can actually stand to be looking at the screen for the entire runtime. There aren't many interminable static dialogue scenes where people sit in an empty cafe and explain the plot for 5 minutes. Unless you're a really slow reader or something, you're still gonna notice all of this if you're watching the show subtitled. But if you weren't and you were constantly staring at the screen, there's nothing reminding you all the time that you're looking at cheap garbage. And I think this is a correlation that extends to many series that were made with the expectation that people were actually gonna watch them. A show like Evangelion isn't constantly animated, but there's a lot going on in these frames. Space Dandy exists somehow. I haven't even really liked much of KyoAni's recent output, but I gotta admit they constantly bring the power on their shows. Hyoka sucks, but they actually have conversations with gestures and facial expressions. Anecdotally, I have witnessed people praising the dubs of these shows, and people were willing to go on a crusade for the Evangelion dub. When I actually watch these shows dubbed, I don't think the voice actors actually sound any better than any of the contemporary anime dubs. But I find these shows a whole lot easier to watch because there's actually something to look at without the distraction of subtitles. Really makes you think. There's definitely some bad-looking shows enjoyed by dub connoisseurs, but I imagine this is because it's just like how when you're, driving an automatic car as opposed to a stick shift, you now have an extra hands to eat a cheeseburger or use a phone, even though you should probably still be keeping your eyes on the road. One can easily take advantage of a show being dubbed to not look at the screen at all. And honestly, for a lot of demographics, there's probably a positive correlation between dubs and anime that looks like shit. Realizing all of this has put me in a tough spot, because I am in many ways a connoisseur of ugly-ass anime. There are a number of shows which I watch for the plot, with no regard for their visual chops. Look, Studio Dean, I'm a big fan. I really appreciate how you've been making 60 episodes about nation building for total nerds like me, and the challenges that come with making an anime this niche in the current year. But if you're gonna have an awkward scene where Minori tries to ask Shiroi out while he sits motionless at his desk forever, I'm gonna have to imagine that Akatsuki is polishing his staff under there. She wouldn't even have to kneel. I don't mean to cast aspersions on those who watch mid-looking anime without being bothered. Even when it's a basic effort, sometimes getting to see a manga I enjoy with color and sound and occasional motion is enough. I just wish that more people would think about anime as a complete audiovisual experience, as opposed to just a wrapper for genre fiction with cute girls. Because a lot of people do notice the visuals, even if they can't express it properly, and they just blame it on the dubs.